Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Johnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams, and we are TSARE. This is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate.
And we back. I got a 900 credit score.
Hey.
Because of the government.
I mean, what's going on? Like, this is like the second day of summer. It's cold as hell. It's raining. And the sun is behind the clouds. I'm confused.
Is it the second day of summer?
Per usual.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's Michigan though, because next week it's gonna be winter. And that same day it's gonna be fall.
Cause we had some summer in the spring, so
yeah.
We owe some winter and spring days.
Oh, okay. I guess
we in arrears.
if that's what y'all want to call it. So, how was everyone's week? I know we had Juneteenth. That went over really well, right?
Yeah.
Juneteenth was fun. I had a lot of fun.
I had fun at the Juneteenth Real Estate Summit.
It was like a Monday. We really worked on the holiday.
Yeah.
It was not like a picnic.
We worked bringing y'all some good content because we interviewed some good people and met some interesting people. Y'all will see that soon on our channel.
Yeah. So I wanted to get into this conversation about, I guess when Biden was coming into office and over the last couple of years, there have been these talks about changing the credit reporting or the agencies from doing it like third-party for-profit companies and going into a public nonprofit sector. I haven't seen anything that shows that this has actually come into fruition. Still talks. Only thing that I've seen lately is with, the thing that was passed where people with 640 credit scores got the 1.75% reduction, and the people that was over like a 740, they got like a point hit. So I saw that. But when it comes to like this particular...
Wait, say that back for the people that can't rewind. No.
So people with the lower credit scores got a break, and people with the higher credit scores had to pay extra.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It sounds like taxes or something.
I'll be having a problem. I tell my wife, like, it's a fine line between helping people and rewarding failure.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay.
Like, that frustrates me because it's like...
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm sorry, but Reggie get on my nerves because he always had, like, the comebacks with the shorts. Like, say it again. What you be telling your wife?
It's a fine line between helping people and rewarding failure.
Okay.
You want to know where that came from?
Where did it come from?
Because when I graduated high school and I didn't have like money for college and nothing, all of a sudden they had all these programs for people that had their GED. Nothing against people with GED, but it was like, oh, you can go to this trade school for free. All you need is a GED. They wasn't saying and high school diploma. It was like if you was a high school dropout, or they'll help you get your GED so you can go to this trade school for free. And it was some good schools, and I was like, damn, what about the people with a diploma?
Well, they had more options. So I hear you, but
they couldn't afford. They had to pay for it.
No, student loans was always an option. And if you were somebody that...
I'm not talking about college. I'm
talking about trade school,
Job
too.
Corps. Is that what it's
called? No, it wasn't Job Corps.
He's talking about trade school. He's talking about trade school.
Like Crockett
They
and
had all these programs that was coming out. It was just like little fly-by-night schools. Most of them went out of business. But they was getting money for bringing people in that had GEDs and stuff.
Okay.
If you had diploma, you had to pay. So, in other words, I felt like, damn, I should have just failed. So I can get in for free, and it sets you up for failure.
Man,
for having a failure mindset.
I hear you, right? I don't agree with the logic though, because it's the same logic that people who make money have, or us, right? It's like shit. The more money you make, the more money you pay. Maybe I should, but that doesn't mean. But you never think in your head, maybe I should make less money so I pay less.
No, but that's why I said it's a fine line between, that's why I said
some people do though.
No, I don't nobody think that.
It's a fine line between helping people and rewarding failure. Because the other reason, I hate to go off topic, is because We all know that cousin that got locked up, and we know that cousin that went to college, and everybody put some money on their books, but they don't really support the person that went to college as much.
I agree.
You know what? It may not be off topic though, because we talked about a little bit about this within like the things that they're trying to do. But so 2023 credit and consumer reporting priorities to promote economic stability. And then we have this subtopic of so Biden administration's decisions to create a public CRA to compete with and possibly replace Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, to fix credit reporting inaccuracies, racial disparities, and that plague many minority consumers from home ownership.
Okay, I can dig it.
All right, the goal to create a new national credit reporting and scoring division that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, known as the CFPB, will enforce. CFPB, that's, they're supposed to like regulate all the finance.
So my question is, will they force the auto dealerships, the mortgage lenders, the mortgage companies, will they force them to accept the credit rating that the government is giving, or will they still be able to choose to check their tri-merge?
And so that's one of the arguments that people are saying. They're saying that people have already switched over to using different score models that's not FICO.
Right.
And the mortgage companies don't use those.
Right.
So one of the arguments is, all right, we go through all these changes and we make it public, and then you spend billions of dollars to have this happen.
Right.
Will they be forced to use them? And that's like one of the biggest arguments.
I wouldn't imagine that they can force them to use it, because you don't have to use each credit bureau right now. You get to choose which scoring model you want to use as the creditor.
Institution.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But what if it's a FHA loan? You think the government would be like, if you're doing an FHA loan, you have to use our model?
And then, so I think that would be a mistake by the government, because now you'll allow another private entity to come in and take over that FHA model that y'all used to have.
Right.
So I don't think you can. It's not a fail-safe situation. It's not a situation where I think that they can just implement and it's going to start taking off immediately. They got a long time. Even if he is successful in instituting a new credit model, the creditors aren't going to accept it right away.
Right away.
You know what I'm saying? So and so they're going to be spending a lot of money. I understand his logic on it, but I don't know.
You don't spend a lot of money for something that may be useless.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
Or it can set people
And then
up.
does it actually correct the issue? So this is about correcting data. So my name is spelled wrong. Someone stole my identity and put some things on there that should not be.
Right.
There are some more things that are a little bit more controlled that they're kind of talking about. So like medical. If you have some serious medical need, that should not necessarily be on your credit report.
But they already fixed that. So even on your current, that's already been fixed on the current credit scoring models.
Why don't they, instead of spending money on credit reporting agencies, why don't they spend the money on health insurance? And that would be a better resource. Then you don't have to worry about it being on my credit if you give us free health insurance.
Which they still got Obamacare. But
they ain't got it for everybody.
For people that can't afford it.
Exactly.
So if you can afford it and you choose not to have, that's what I'm saying. Like if you have the money to be able to pay for what you need and you choose not to do it, that's on you.
I think everybody should get free health care.
You want Canada's model. I'm not against Canada's model.
I want to move to Canada.
I'm not against
the
it.
West Coast side though.
Right.
That side. But yeah, so okay. You were just saying that I mean this may be something that does not actually work, and like does it actually fix the issues that's at hand? So it's kind of like, well, we're not able, Black and brown people are
so
they're not able to
they're
get
not
homes.
treated equally.
Yeah, they're not treated equally.
So let me ask you the real question, I guess the whale or elephant in the room, whichever one. So if if regardless of my race and color, if we both have 2 vehicles and we both pay on time, are the credit reports going to show something different? If
Right.
that's the only thing we got on our credit.
And so that's what I'm saying. So that's like another point. Some people were kind of saying, well, a black person may have something small that happens. I feel like I use this example a lot. My dad had like this small finger hut card. It's like an $8 a month payment, right? Like who misses an $8 a month payment? It was like an oversight, right? And then he takes like all these major point hits. And like to your point, maybe
that don't happen to the white person.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So that's what I don't have the answer, but that's what people are pretty much saying. They're saying when that happens with a black person, they take like, you know, a major point hit. But if it happens with like a white person, they don't have the same
You
hit.
want to know what the biggest difference is?
They have other credit.
Well, no, if we took 2 people, regardless of race, multiple people, same credit, what's most likely the difference is the income and income to debt ratio, because on average, the average white person makes more money than the average black person.
I don't know because I've seen. So this is
when you look
something
at
that I have.
statistics of median household income. So if this person is $100,000 gross income and this person is $60,000, they got the same exact bills as far as credit, revolving credit. Then if they both took the same hit, it's going to impact them different.
Correct.
Because of their income to debt ratio.
Right.
So you have higher balances, but you have more income. So it's not going to impact you as much.
You know, I don't, so this is what I'll say. A lot of my clients that I have that are of Caucasian, they, the younger ones, they do tend to have, I mean, and you guys ever watch like the HGTV where it'd be like, they say the people be shopping for houses, they'd be like, oh, you're buying $1 million house. And they'd be like, well, what do you do? I'm a dog walker.
Yeah, I'm a parakeet watcher.
Yeah, and it'd be like, where do you get the money for this from?
Right.
I've sat back and watched that happen before, to where I'm looking at the credit of a young white person, and I'm looking at the credit of a young black person. I'm like, okay, they kind of don't, you know, it's kind of similar. But why is this person so much higher than this person? Now, I'm not like big on conspiracy theory or stuff that I don't have like all the information on. So it kind of just comes in and goes out because I don't like to sit on it.
I don't believe that at all.
But I've seen that happen. And I'm like, it's a coincidence.
It's not based off of race. So
and then how could it be based off of race?
Because I guarantee that's not true.
I agree with you that it's not based on race,
but
race does play a part in it.
But I want to know, how can it be if it is?
But it's
because
not.
you got to look at what's passed down to each generation and the start they both had. So they didn't start off on an equal playing field to begin with.
There it is.
So of course it's going to be a different impact by the time they're 26. If this kid grew up and they didn't have to go get thousands of dollars in student loans, and this kid did, by the time they're 30, they're going to have different
outcomes.
Situations.
Yeah,
right?
one started in the hole, the other one did.
Right.
But so to what you're saying, that is not true.
Like, so you can't say it's not true. What I saw is a coincidence, maybe.
Okay. To what you're saying, that is not true. That is factually not true. You can go if you have. So I've done it.
What
before.
did I say? That's factually not true.
You said that you seen a African American credit report and you seen a Caucasian credit report, and they had similar trades on there, but they had totally different scores. And I'm saying that's factually not true. So if you're African American and you're a Caucasian and you're an Asian, if y'all all had just that same trade, y'all all gonna have the same score, right? That's just how the scoring model was made up. It's not based off of nothing else, right? But
it depends on what type of debt it is.
And it definitely wasn't the same trade.
Okay, let's say it's
like the
car.
technicalities.
Let's say
like
really.
It does not matter.
It's probably going to be more equal.
All of it. It don't matter what it is. It's going to be 100% equal because the credit scoring model is not built off of any of your income or anything.
Right.
But what you said is where the race comes in. So we do know that historically or factually also that minorities, mostly African Americans, make less. Right. So we don't have that cushion that they have. You get what I'm saying? So if our average or median income is I think that shit is low. Like I don't even like I won't say a number, but it's
45 per household.
For African American
household
for African American household.
Yeah.
And then for a Caucasian household it's probably
it's like 70 something.
Yeah. So boom, you got $30,000 of cushion. You know what I'm saying? That we don't have. That's where this comes into play, and that's
plus
I think that's where
difference.
And I think that's where the Biden administration is trying to even the playing field because they understand that. Not where nobody can come out here and say I'm black and when I get a ding on my credit takes a larger hit than a white person. That's crazy as hell to say. Like, stop saying that. That's not true.
All right, so my only issue with this is if they make this credit reporting agency easier for people that actually kind of neglected their credit. We all know people that do that. Not because they couldn't pay or they fell on hard times. Some people just have bad credit habits, right? If they make it easier, they're also making it easier for people to get more debt.
That's what the Big Show was talking about, the Fox.
Yeah, so you get, when people are already student, why do people have so much in debt when it comes to student loans? Because they made it so easy to get student loans. You don't have to prove anything, right? You don't even have to prove you have the ability to pay to get a student loan.
But you do.
So, well, they're assuming you will.
You have to prove the ability not to pay.
They know they got you by the neck because you gonna pay them.
Well,
right?
that's why. So they have
or
to
become
prove,
a forever student.
Yeah,
so if you make this more relaxed than any of the other credit reporting agencies, and the lenders and creditors start getting a hold of this and say, oh well, we base on this model, then we can justify giving you this loan. See, right now, the lenders, they say, okay, based on your credit income to debt ratio, and we go by this, we can't give you this loan. But if we go by this model, now we can give you this loan. I'm not saying that's factual yet, but it's a possibility if they make it more relaxed and people start saying, we're lending based on this because it's easier to give more people loans, which means we're giving people more debt that probably shouldn't qualify.
No, I think you actually argued on behalf of the model that they're talking about, right? Because the unfairness that they're describing is because of the cushion that we just discussed, right? So it's unfair. Think about this. All right, is it better for that person that you're talking about who's got the dings and their credit score isn't as high to pay more in rent than it is for you to allow them to finance a house?
They should be able to finance a house.
Yeah, so that's what this is. That's what this is trying to do.
I agree.
You get what I'm saying? So this
it all starts out good. And
I'm saying
that's what they were talking about.
Way.
So people that's like against it, they're like, oh, Biden must not have been around for the recession. This, giving these mortgage companies and big businesses giving people loans and they don't have the ability to pay them.
Yeah. So if they don't have the ability to pay, that's one thing. But we're talking. So credit scores does not mean you don't have the ability to pay.
Right.
That just means that your credit worthiness doesn't show that you're a good borrower.
Of money.
You know what I'm saying? But if you are somebody, we've seen lenders who have alternative credit requirements, right?
And we've seen people paying $1,000 a month for rent for 10 years, but they can't qualify for an $800 a month mortgage.
My point, yes.
Right, I agree with that 100%.
So if that's what this is doing, then that's a positive.
Then that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
so what's the concerns?
But on the flip side of that, if they do that, guess what's going to happen to housing values?
You're going to increase?
Yeah.
Yeah, another positive
then
though, right?
If you don't make enough money to qualify for the houses, that means you got to be one of the first people to get in early and buy, because once the flood, it can create another problem. It all depends on what the outcome is. That's all I'm saying. It can create another problem because it go back to what I said. You're trying to help people, but it can be a thin line between you can help them and hurt them at the same time.
Jeez, I hear you. I feel like that's a toughie. And I feel like there's an in-between, and maybe there's an in-between. Yeah. Even though this is possibly the in-between, because I would imagine that most lenders that aren't government-backed wouldn't even look at their scores. They wouldn't even care. This would be like
they're talking about for qualifying mortgages. They're specifically talking about for that reason like
Like
you
an
know,
FHA.
yeah.
Right.
So this would take over the FHA, and then somebody else going to take over the spot that FHA leaves behind, I would imagine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's fair. I
Yeah.
do, in that matter, I feel like it could work.
Right.
So what's the concerns regarding having a government agency overseeing the credit reporting?
If you got any blemishes on your credit, that's an error. I think that can be a problem because the turnaround time to fix it could take forever.
Mm.
So just
with
think
that,
of all the other government stuff you wait on for
Right,
them to do.
right.
We can't even get a final water read in the city.
so is that talking?
in
So
time.
they're saying that it's 15,000 companies that submit data to credit bureaus every month,
Mhm.
and it's 8 million disputes annually, 22,000 monthly. And so they're saying that right now government agencies don't even have the manpower and the staff to be able to.
Exactly.
Well, that's a
Well,
bonus.
one,
Creating jobs.
you creating jobs, but again, how many people are you going to employ?
Well,
to
they're
handle
saying that you may be creating jobs in that instance, but then you're taking away jobs when you get rid of the big three.
Yeah, but who's going to pay for those jobs?
And then they're
Taxpayer,
basically
right?
so that's supposed to be like another con that they're mentioning. They're saying that it's going to fall on the consumer to pay for that because the mortgage companies are going to just pass that burden along to the consumer.
Well, I feel like I would agree.
If they took all those resources and gave us free health care, then I wouldn't be worried about credit.
I agree.
But
so if I got to pay more, if I'm a individual that makes $40,000, $50,000 a year, and I got to pay a little bit more so that I can get approved for a house,
right.
So what? I mean, I'm still gonna save overall. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That should be my cost. If I fall into that situation there,
Right.
and this situation benefits me, then
Right.
yeah, I pay extra for it.
All
Yeah.
right, so what's the pros of keeping the three bureaus in place?
The pros of it is just that it's just been in place. I don't know that there's necessarily a pro.
I think we always need you always need something in the private sector. I think it can't just all be relied on the government.
The only thing that I've heard is just the ability to manage the accounts.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Because they have experience, like decades of experience.
The government will have to figure it out. Then you got to think about the security risk. Like, look how many how the tax return frauds are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So what's to stop people from using your credit?
Shit, it happens right now anyway. If we talked about the credit fraud right now or identity theft fraud based on the credit, that ain't the government.
Well, that's what.
But I'm saying, if the government step into that position, how are they gonna protect you any different than now?
Yeah.
Because you look at all the tax return scams where people filing fake tax returns and getting all that money. So if those people can scam the government, then now the government, which already has all your information, who's to say you can't get your identity stolen? And now how soon is the government gonna work it out?
And that's supposed to be one of the pros of having the change.
Okay. I'm about to say, because credit shit, that's happening right now with three credit bureaus. People are stealing your identity and opening up bank accounts, opening up credit cards and everything. So they're not protecting you right now. It's not like we're losing any protection.
I'm not talking about the protection part. I'm talking about helping getting it correct.
Shit, they taking forever to correct it too.
Right.
Even though they're supposed to have 30 days.
If they're taking forever and they're used to dealing with it, how long do you think the government is going to take?
So I would imagine. So like it'd be like if we went into so we're familiar with like mortgages. If we went into mortgages, somebody can be like, yeah, they did mortgages for 20 years, but we've been doing, we're familiar enough with the mortgages. If we start doing mortgages, we'll figure it out pretty quickly. It's not gonna take us that long.
Right.
It's gonna be a little bit of learning curve, but it ain't gonna be ridiculous.
All right.
So 2 more questions.
Are all the credit repair people gonna go broke? Because they're gonna be like, the government be like,
no, because
forget your letters.
None of this stuff is not. Yeah, right. This stuff is not like replacing any of those things.
Right.
It's really, they're just saying we're going to do a better job of making sure your information is reported properly so that you don't have the same disparities that you currently have. It's all about data reporting. They're saying we're going to take over.
All right.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So All right. They're talking about
basically the government is saying we're going to be the end all be all for credit reports and reporting.
Yeah,
so
making sure that you have accurate information.
Right.
Making sure. So it goes even further than just like the home equity and ownership portion. Like they talk about people that have like charges or have had felonies or been like, you know, reducing the time that things can be, you know, going from 7 years to 4 years.
Right.
If you had something expunged from your record, that not being able to be reported. Like it goes
on credit? Or are you saying in addition to credit?
No, on credit. They're saying like if you read like deeper into like the whole rollout of it, it talks about all of the things that affect people that is not supposed to be reported or looked at, but they still look at it.
But that's not on your credit.
Or either they take too much time to get rid of like old information. They're basically saying the person that you were at 30, you probably are different at 37 or at 34 or at 33.
Which makes sense.
So why are we waiting 7 years to get rid of?
I'm the same OG though.
So I think that's, I don't know where the disconnect is there, but they don't report on credit that you had a felony. And so the only thing that they report.
Will they? Because it's the government.
No, she just said that they go.
No, but I'm saying it's the government.
Right.
And he had a felony. He was locked up for 10 years. This can't possibly be his credit. Or her credit, right?
Like that whole article that I sent, we should post it, but it lists like all those different things. That's the one. That's the 2023 credit and consumer reporting priorities. That's that article. But all right, the question that I have is they're talking about adding things like your cell phone payments, your utility history, you know, things like that. And they're saying if you do this, that could positively impact the credit score.
Yeah, because some lenders do that, alternative credit.
Yeah, I like when they use it as alternative.
When you pay for daycare every week or every month, that's an agreement to pay.
That's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I agree with Shaka.
If the consumer gets the option to do it, then you're only gonna put on there what you want to show.
Well, they probably not. It's probably not option oriented. It's probably, if they say these are not all the things that are going to be reported, they're just going to report these things.
I have bad credit right now. If they would have my credit, they would have my cell phone payment. I pay that money every 2 months.
So if I had, let's say,
that's what I was getting ready to say about that though, because a person, you may have a person that does pretty, let's say you average working class person managing the bills, but a lot of people rob Peter to pay Paul. And it's not to say that they don't pay the bill. They just may not. They know this not going to affect my credit. It's not going to get turned off.
Right.
I can pay this a little bit later while I go pay the car note.
Yeah. So here's where it can go bad, right? If I pay my mortgage or my rent on time, my car note, credit card, all that stuff, but then if I pay, I don't know, they don't do layaway no more. Well, if I pay daycare weekly,
they do layaway.
Right? And I pay daycare. I pay daycare a couple of days late every month, right? Now, can the daycare go and report that on my credit now? Will that be a possibility with the new system? Because if they could, you're going to have people just reporting stuff just to be...
Mess people up.
Yeah, mess people up. But if the
that's
government
where it becomes
say,
a little bit contradictory
too, If the government say you have to file certain paperwork before you can even report this information, then
they're going to slow down.
So that's what they're saying. They're saying that they're trying to get rid of frivolous information being reported.
Right.
But it's contradictory too, because some stuff, like what you just said, I think that having all these things being reported, now you're going to hurt a bunch of people potentially.
I mean, I guess so I pay, so my cell phone bill is high as hell. It's outrageous cell phone bill. And I don't have it on automatic payment anymore. But so, yeah, I pay it every time they call me. Like they'll call you and be like, it's time to pay your bill or whatever. Are would you like to pay your bill on time? But that's only because I know that it doesn't impact my credit, right?
Yeah,
unless I'm allowed to get somewhere. But if I knew that it impacted my credit,
But we all got them situations. My DTE literally just got turned off. I'm sitting in the house on the computer and I just hear like power off. I scream in the room. I'm like, Donovan, you didn't knock the power out. And he goes downstairs. He's checking the circuit breakers. And I look at my text message. DTE sent me a message like, yeah, your services have been turned off for non-payment. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? I pay this all the time. I called them. And
Did they put the remark at the end?
It was
I told your ass. They text you like, I told your ass.
But I called them and I had it. I'm like, look, like, and like he said, like that, my utility bill is high.
Right.
So I had to pay, you know, a whole lot of money to have them restore the service. But one of the things was, I'm like, if you check my history, you can see I pay. It's on auto pay. There's obviously a problem here. I need y'all to turn my services back on, and I need you to not charge me $1,000 security deposit. But I guess the point is, if that was on my credit report, I'm 3 months behind.
Right.
And I didn't even know.
So the stuff that can that like that, I let my wife take care of that because I'm not gonna. She pays. She's like a regular person. You know what I mean? That pays everything.
But
like
that's what I'm saying. It's an oversight. Like this, like for me, this is something that I also pay. Like, you know, I don't. So I'm not the. I don't like my. I'm the weird person that don't like to have the high DTE.
Right.
Or, you know, like certain things high. So I make sure they're either on auto pay or I just pay it. That's one of them. So like when this is happening, I'm like, okay, well, what did I miss? But people, all I'm saying is,
to the people on Instagram that told you if you send your bill in and you write it back in your secret trust account and say paid by the United States government, they can't shut you up.
The lady, she said, well, I can send you a no income form. And I'm like, well, how long is that gonna take? And she's like, oh, it could take a few days to actually, a few weeks to actually get approved. Who the hell got a few weeks to be filling out a no income? And then what am I wanted to fill it out though. I thought about it.
Filled it out before then. They was like, Janita, we told you.
They sent you. Well, they do be sending notices. That's why I leave that alone. I don't. The bills that impact shit, I don't pay those bills. The bills the frivolous bills, you know, the stuff that's not going.
You let the responsible person.
Yeah, she's way more. You know, she's paying attention to the everyday life or whatever. I'm in my world.
All right, y'all. So, to conclude this, do we need the government?
We need Reggie to get his lanyard.
His lavalier.
Might check.
Together.
All the new technology.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think some of the things are a little bit contradictory. I see what they're trying to do, but I'm kind of like, let everybody get some, I don't know, we need some life skill classes in high school or something that teaches more in-depth finance and credit. But I don't know.
We're so far behind. We're so far behind, even still right now. Even though the information is out there, like, we got to think about it. Like, shit, Reggie kind of second generation investor. You are too. I'm first generation. You know what I mean? So I'm just now getting to the point where I can lead that to my kid, that information to my kids. So just it's just unfair. You know what I mean? It's not, we're so far behind on a lot of information. And as much information as even we know, shit, there's people there's actually people that have less information than us, but still fare better based on what they're talking about right here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like this is a good idea. That doesn't mean that it's gonna fix everything. So it's a good idea within reason, you know what I'm saying? If people thinking this is gonna fix everything, then no, it's not gonna work, right? But if you have a program, a government program that allows people to be able to afford, if you can afford the $1,200 in rent is, we all know rent is way above what your mortgage price, which you're paying for a mortgage right now. So how does it make sense for people not to be, if they can afford that much in rent, for them not to be approved for a mortgage?
Absolutely.
Right.
So I think if this can fix that, then I'll be with it.
I'm for it. It's just at what cost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm for it. And if it ain't working, we'll see what happens.
Is it going to be the start of the new bubble? Okay, that's a wrap.